What happens when a hands-off car dealership CEO decides to wash cars undercover and uncovers a mechanic secretly charging every customer extra? Wilmer owned 16 car dealerships across 3 states. 10 years ago, he'd bought the business from a retiring couple who ran it like a family shop. Isaac had grown it fast, investing in branding, new tech, and expanding locations. But as the company grew, he grew distant. He hadn't set foot in some of the stores in years. Instead, he relied on numbers, reports, and the occasional "everything's great" from his district managers. But then a review caught his eye. Came in for a simple oil change, left with a $140 bill and no explanation. Never coming back. At first, Isaac thought it was just one frustrated customer, but more trickled in. Not many, just enough to make his gut twist. He decided to see for himself. The dealership in question was in Jefferson, a mid-sized town in Missouri, not the biggest location, but busy. Run by a manager named Craig, who Isaac had never met in person. Most of the staff had been hired after the expansion, and with a corporate logo on everything, nobody really knew what the owner looked like, especially since Isaac kept a low profile online. He showed up on a Wednesday morning wearing a fake beard, grease-stained jeans, and a polo that said Midwest Auto Temp Staff. His name tag read Dennis. The district office had helped him set it up under the radar. He was assigned to wash cars on the lot and help detail vehicles after service. "Just keep the towels clean and don't scratch anything," said a guy named Jace, who barely looked up from his phone. "You'll be fine." By noon, Isaac was soaked in soap and sweat. He hadn't done physical work in years. His arms ached from scrubbing dried bugs off bumpers, and his back hurt from crouching to clean wheels. He was exhausted and a little embarrassed at how soft he'd gotten. But the real eye-opener came when he overheard a heated conversation inside the service bay. He was wiping down a Ford Explorer when a woman in her late 30s stepped out of the waiting room. "I thought you said this was 120 tops," she said to a mechanic in a gray uniform. "That's what I said. Then we found the cabin filter was filthy, and the wiper blades." "That's another 42. "You didn't ask me." "Ma'am, it's standard. We always do that if it's needed." The woman hesitated, then paid. She looked frustrated but not shocked, like she'd expected it. Isaac watched the mechanic, his name patch said Travis, walk back into the garage with a smirk on his face. He high-fived another guy. Isaac walked into the garage with a spray bottle in hand, pretending to clean the door handles. "Hey," he said casually. "You always do add-ons like that." Travis looked him over. "Mind your own business, new guy." Isaac nodded and walked out, but he started watching. Over the next 2 days, he saw it happen again and again. Small repairs, surprise fees, customers too tired or embarrassed to argue. Some asked questions, most didn't, and every time Travis was behind it, Isaac tried to talk to Craig, the manager, but he was always too busy. When they did cross paths, Craig barely noticed him. "You're the temp washer, right? Don't block the service lane. And don't talk to customers." Isaac said nothing, but his anger built, not just at the trickery but at how normal it all seemed here. Still, it wasn't all bad. On Friday morning, a young employee named Tucker caught Isaac's eye. He was quiet, maybe 19 or 20, and worked in detailing. Tucker went out of his way to help customers carry bags, explain things, and even stayed late to finish a job rather than leave it half done. "Why bother?" Isaac asked him once after watching him polish a bumper long after closing. Tucker shrugged. "My mom brought her car in once. They treated her like crap. I don't want anyone else to feel like that." Isaac nodded slowly. He'd seen enough. He wasn't just going to fire someone, he was going to clean house. Saturday opened with gray skies and humidity thick enough to press sweat out of skin before work even started. Isaac arrived just after 6:30, well before the service center opened to customers, and found Tucker already setting up the detail station alone. "You always get in this early?" Isaac asked, dropping a bucket beside him. Tucker nodded without looking up. "They only schedule 2 of us on weekends. If I don't prep the carts, we fall behind before the first car even rolls in." Isaac didn't reply. He just grabbed towels and followed his lead. The lot was quiet except for the hum of vending machines and the occasional cough of an engine from the garage. By 8, the waiting room filled up fast. The service desk had only one person behind it, Cynthia, a woman in her 40s with tired eyes and a voice she kept calm even as the line doubled. Travis strolled in 15 minutes late, coffee in hand. He didn't acknowledge anyone. He leaned against the wall behind the desk and started scrolling through his phone. Cynthia, still juggling customers, glanced at him. "You could start pulling tickets," she said, not raising her voice. "I'm not even punched in yet," Travis replied, not moving. Isaac was walking past them with a stack of floor mats when he heard it. He kept going but made a mental note. Later that morning, while rinsing pollen off a Grand Cherokee, he saw Travis leading an older man into the service bay. The man was holding a small invoice, just a basic inspection. Isaac ducked behind the SUV and wiped the windshield, watching. "You'll want to knock out the serpentine belt too," Travis said. "Dry as a bone. We can bundle that with the coolant flush. You'll be back here in a month if we don't." The man hesitated. "I didn't budget for all that. You can do it now or pay twice as much later, up to you." Isaac stepped out from behind the car. "Hey, sorry to interrupt. You need help moving that Accord out of Bay 3, he said to Travis, loud enough for the customer to hear. Travis shot him a glare. "I got it." Isaac held the man's eyes. "If you've got questions about the work, ask for a printout. Don't let anyone push you into anything." The man nodded slowly. When Travis returned, he stepped close. "You've got a lot of opinions for a guy who hoses off bird crap." Isaac didn't blink. "Just trying to help. You want to help, keep your mouth shut." Isaac gave him a half smile and walked off. He didn't need to push further just yet. He already knew what was coming. Around noon, the rain rolled in. Light at first, then steady sheets that turned the asphalt into a slick mirror. Most of the detailing jobs halted, but the service bays stayed packed. Cynthia was now juggling calls and walk-ins while Craig, the manager, sat in his office with the door closed. Isaac could see him through the window watching sports highlights on his phone. One of the techs, a man named Leo, was limping slightly as he walked between bays. Isaac caught up to him while grabbing a fresh stack of microfiber towels. "You all right?" he asked. Leo paused. "Just twisted my knee pulling a tire yesterday. Craig says it's not workers' comp unless I can't walk at all, so here I am." "You report it to anyone," Leo gave a dry laugh. "To who? He's the one who told me to walk it off." Isaac clenched his jaw. "You need a brace or anything? Already bought one, out of pocket." Isaac kept walking. He didn't trust himself to answer without losing his temper. At 2, things boiled over. A woman came in with her teenage daughter, both soaked from the rain. Her sedan was in for routine maintenance. She'd been quoted $90. When the bill came, it was over $150. Cabin filter, washer fluid system, miscellaneous labor. She approached the counter, holding the invoice. "This isn't what I agreed to." Travis, now the only one manning the service desk while Cynthia handled phones, didn't look up. "Those are standard additions." "It's all in the fine print." She looked around. "I want to speak to a manager." Craig's out. The girl beside her glanced nervously at her mom. The woman took a breath, trying to stay calm. "You didn't call to approve anything." Travis leaned on the counter. "Lady, we're not going to hold your car hostage. You can pay and go or wait until Craig's free. Might be a while." Isaac walked straight up behind the counter. "That's enough," he said. Travis turned. "Back off, this isn't your I'm the owner." Silence. The customers froze. Cynthia, just returning from the back office, nearly dropped her clipboard. Travis blinked, confused at first, then pale. Isaac pulled off his name tag and let it drop onto the counter. "My name is Isaac Wilmer. I've owned this dealership for 10 years. And I've spent the last 4 days watching you lie to customers and treat them like they don't matter." The woman stepped back, stunned. Her daughter's eyes widened. Isaac turned to her. "I'm sorry, you're not paying that bill. In fact, the service is on us." She nodded slowly. "Thank you." As they left, Isaac turned back to Travis. "You've been adding unauthorized charges, refusing to explain them, and cornering people who don't feel comfortable arguing. You're done here. Immediately." Travis opened his mouth, but Isaac cut him off. "Save it. I've watched you walk in late, ignore customers, and dump work on your coworkers while padding invoices. This isn't a debate. You're finished." Travis looked at Craig's office, but the door was still closed as if nothing had happened. Isaac turned to Cynthia. Who else has the keys to the customer service system? Just me and Craig. From now on, we triple verify all extra charges. Nobody touches a ticket without the customer's written approval, no exceptions. Cynthia nodded, her voice quiet. Understood. Isaac walked toward the office. Craig didn't notice him until the door opened. He looked up, startled. Can I help? You've been sitting in here for hours while your team is drowning, Isaac interrupted. Your lead service writer was scamming customers in plain sight. Craig stood slowly. I didn't know he was. You didn't know because you weren't watching. You didn't check a single invoice. You didn't step out to handle a customer. You let one person run this place into the ground while you sat in a chair. Craig looked down, silent. Isaac kept his voice low but firm. You're not in charge anymore. Pack your things. Craig didn't argue. He just grabbed his tablet and walked out. Isaac stepped back into the shop floor. A few employees had gathered nearby, watching from a distance. He looked at Leo. You're going home. I'm paying for a proper exam on that knee. And we're rewriting the injury policy starting Monday. Leo nodded slowly, speechless. He turned to Tucker, who was now wiping down a rain-covered SUV by himself in the back corner. Tucker, Isaac called out. Come see me in the office when you're done. We need to talk about your future here. The kid looked up, uncertain. Isaac gave him a nod. You've earned more than a paycheck. And for the first time that week, Tucker smiled. The storm had passed by Sunday morning, but the air still clung damp and heavy. Isaac returned to the dealership in a plain gray button-down. No disguise this time, no name tag. The word had spread. No one said much when he arrived, but the staff glanced at him differently now, some cautiously, some hopefully. He walked through the service bay, then to the break room. It was nearly silent except for the hum of the old refrigerator and the soft rustle of snack wrappers. Cynthia sat at the corner table, sipping coffee from a paper cup, eyes on a spreadsheet printed out and marked with red pen. Morning, Isaac said. She looked up, a little startled. Didn't expect you in today. I didn't expect to be here all week, he replied, but it's clear I've been away too long. She folded the paper in half and set it aside. You planning to take over daily operations? No, but I'm not disappearing again either. He took a seat across from her. I need to understand what's really happening here, not just what I saw this week, but what's been building under the surface. She hesitated for a moment. You sure you want to hear that? Every word. She leaned back. This place used to run smoother a couple years ago, when we had a full staff and management that gave a damn. But when Craig took over, everything started shifting. Cut hours. Cut detail staff, started pushing service writers to upsell more aggressively. Isaac nodded slowly. And nobody said anything? I did, once. He told me if I wanted to keep my role, I should learn to adapt, so I adapted. He didn't respond right away, the weight of it sat heavy. I appreciate you not walking out, he said finally. I almost did, a few times, but I've got a kid in college. And someone had to keep this place from falling apart completely. Isaac stood. That changes now, starting today. He stepped back into the service area just as the first customers began pulling into the lot. Tucker arrived 10 minutes early again, this time wearing an oversized poncho that clung to his frame. He gave Isaac a quick nod and walked straight to the detail station. Isaac followed. You've got a minute, sure. They ducked into the corner of the garage, away from the noise. I'm moving you up, Isaac said. Starting this week, you'll be assisting with service intake. You'll still help with detailing when needed, but your main role is going to be greeting customers, walking through service options, making sure nothing's missed. Tucker blinked. Me. I've never. You pay attention. You treat people right. That's what this role needs more than anything else. He hesitated. What about the others? Won't they think I'm skipping the line? Isaac shook his head. Anyone who has a problem with it can talk to me directly. Tucker nodded slowly. All right, I'll do my best. Good. And if anyone gives you trouble, I want to know immediately. Understand? Yes, sir. Isaac gave him a firm pat on the shoulder and walked back toward the front office. Inside, he found the phones ringing unanswered. Cynthia was still in the break room and no one else was at the counter. He picked up the receiver. Midwest Auto, this is Isaac. How can I help you? A pause on the other end. Wait, Isaac Wilmer, he smiled faintly. Yes. How can I help? The caller wanted to reschedule a tire rotation due to a family emergency. Isaac adjusted the appointment himself and offered a pickup service for next time as a courtesy. When he hung up, Cynthia had returned and was watching him from the doorway. "You're taking calls now. I do what needs doing," she smiled faintly. "I'll take the next one." An hour later, a black SUV pulled up with dealership tags on it. District Manager Lyle stepped out, wearing his usual navy blazer and a Bluetooth earpiece he rarely removed. He spotted Isaac through the glass and entered without breaking stride. "Didn't expect to hear from you on a Sunday," he said. "What's going on?" Isaac didn't shake his hand. "We've got a problem that's been growing under your watch." Lyle raised an eyebrow. "Someone fill your inbox with complaints again." "I went undercover this week. Worked the wash bay. Watched a mechanic pressure customers into repairs they didn't ask for. Watched a manager sit in his office while the front desk collapsed. I saw firsthand what your reports never told me." Lyle's expression didn't change. "You're saying Craig was negligent. I'm saying Craig was removed yesterday, and I'm asking you why you didn't catch any of this." Lyle adjusted the earpiece slightly. "We've got 16 locations, Isaac. I don't micromanage each one. I trust the managers to keep things running." Isaac stepped closer. "You trusted someone who let a staff member exploit customers, and you didn't once walk the floor or speak to the people actually doing the work." Lyle exhaled sharply. "Look, I can audit procedures. Send in a team, tighten things up." "No," Isaac said. "I'm not asking you to patch it. I'm asking why you didn't see it." Lyle paused, then shrugged. "Because I stopped looking." Isaac nodded once. "Then we've got a bigger issue than I thought." Silence stretched between them. "Are you firing me?" Lyle asked finally. "I'm reassigning you. As of tomorrow, you'll be shadowing every single location for the next 8 weeks. No reports, no desk, just walking, observing, listening. You'll report directly to me with findings from the ground." Lyle opened his mouth, then closed it. "Understood." Isaac turned. "You can start here, right now." As Lyle drifted toward the service area, Isaac stepped into the garage again. The air there smelled of coolant and rubber, but now it also carried something else: attention. Eyes followed him, not with fear but with curiosity. The boss wasn't in a meeting. He was here, watching, listening. A young woman named Selena stood near the back, sorting parts. Isaac hadn't spoken to her yet, but he'd noticed how methodically she worked and how often others called on her for help. He approached. "You've been here how long?" he asked. "Little over a year," she said, not breaking rhythm. "Started as a runner. Got certified last fall." "Do you enjoy the work?" "I do, but it's hard to stay focused when things keep shifting. One week we're short tools, the next we're short people. I've been doing diagnostics and repairs without proper lifts for weeks." He frowned. "Why wasn't that logged?" Craig said the budget couldn't cover it, told us to improvise. "Not anymore," Isaac said. "Make a list of what's missing. I'll review it myself." She nodded once. "Thanks." By mid-afternoon, the dealership had calmed. The rain had washed most of the pollen away, and the blacktop shimmered under the returning sun. Isaac stood by the bay doors, watching the last few customers roll out. He didn't have grand speeches in mind, but he knew what he needed to say. He gathered the staff near the service drive. No podiums, no microphones, just people in stained uniforms and tired eyes. "I failed you," he began. "I built this company to grow, but somewhere along the way I stopped paying attention to what matters most: the people doing the work." Heads tilted. A few arms crossed, but no one walked away. "I watched good people get overlooked. I saw shortcuts that hurt our customers and our reputation. That ends now." He looked at Tucker, then Cynthia, then Leo. "We're rebuilding, from the floor up. That means better communication, proper staffing, and zero tolerance for dishonesty." Someone near the back muttered, "About time." Isaac heard it and didn't flinch. "You're right, it is." He stepped back. "Tomorrow we open with a new manager, a new structure, and a new set of expectations. If you're here to work hard and treat people right, you'll have my full support. If you're not, you'll find the door." Silence. Then a nod from Selena. A quiet "okay" from Cynthia. And finally, a few claps, not loud, not dramatic, but real. Isaac didn't need applause, he needed change. And for the first time in years, he could feel it beginning. Monday arrived with a quiet kind of urgency. The storm had passed, but its aftermath remained: a dealership running at half capacity. A staff still unsure who exactly to trust, and a new manager arriving in under an hour. Isaac arrived early again, this time in a clean, dark button-down and work boots. He bypassed the front office and walked straight into the garage where Tucker and Selena were already prepping the bays in silence. "You two sleep here?" he asked, brushing dust off one of the floor jacks. Selena gave a tired half-laugh. "Feels like it." Isaac nodded once. "Let's make sure we're not saying that a month from now." They got back to work, no more words needed. The dealership's rhythm hadn't returned, it was more like a slow warming, like an engine after a long winter. One bay still didn't have the right lift parts. The back corner of the garage was stacked with boxes that hadn't been inventoried in weeks. But the energy was different now. No one was hiding in offices. No one was whispering orders. At 8:30 sharp, the new manager arrived. Her name was Dana Mendez. Isaac had recruited her from a rival dealership after hearing how she turned around their worst-performing location in under a year. She walked in wearing a practical navy jacket, her hair tied back, and a clipboard under her arm. She shook Isaac's hand firmly and went straight to the service floor without asking permission. "Who's covering diagnostics today?" she asked as soon as she stepped into the garage. Leo raised one hand. "That's me." She looked at his knee brace. "You cleared to work. Doc says I'm stable." "Light duty only," she nodded. "Then you're on intake inspections. I'll have someone else rotate tires and pull wheels." She turned to Isaac. "Where's the whiteboard?" "Didn't have one," he said. "Then we start there." She had it hung within 30 minutes, sectioned it off into bays, assignments, and parts on backorder. She didn't talk about accountability, she showed it. When a customer flagged down a tech outside the service bay, Dana stepped in, walked them to the desk, and had Cynthia pull the service history while explaining each item line by line. Isaac watched from a distance. Dana didn't micromanage, she directed. She caught a missed torque spec during a brake job, flagged a mislabeled oil type, and asked Selena why 3 alternators were still sitting in the return bin. Selena explained, "Parts manager never logged them." "Then take pictures. Email them to me. If they're still here by Thursday, I'll escalate it myself." Isaac stepped into the break room around noon to find Tucker sitting at the far end, flipping through a laminated service guide. "You memorizing that entire thing?" Isaac asked. Tucker looked up. "Trying to." "Dana said if I'm going to handle intake, I need to know more than just what sounds right." Isaac sat across from him. "How's she treating you? Like I belong here, but still gotta prove it." "That's usually how she works." Tucker hesitated. "It's different now, not easier but cleaner." "Like I know what's expected." Isaac nodded. "Good, you'll have more support soon. I've approved 2 new hires, one for parts, one for service intake. They'll be here by the end of the week." Tucker blinked. Seriously. "But you're training the service intake one." His eyes widened. "Me? You've earned it." Later that afternoon, a customer returned a middle-aged man with a clipped tone and a folder full of receipts. Isaac recognized him. He'd been one of the first to complain online about hidden fees. Dana met him at the door before he even reached the counter. "We looked into your last visit," she said. "You were overcharged for fluid checks and labor we couldn't verify. That's on us. We've refunded the total to your card." He narrowed his eyes. "Just like that. No excuses, no stalling. We were wrong. This won't happen again." He looked around. The waiting room was quieter, the staff more alert. Even the chairs had been rearranged to face the desk instead of the wall. He nodded slowly and left without another word. By 4, the pace had slowed. Isaac stood with Dana near the empty service bay where Travis had spent most of his time the week before. "Any fallout from removing him?" she asked. Not a word. Everyone knew what he was doing. They just didn't think anyone would stop it. Dana crossed her arms. "He wasn't the only one taking shortcuts. I've seen some lazy habits baked into this place." "Then break them." "I plan to, but I want it clear if someone resists change, they're out. No second chances." Isaac looked her in the eye. "You have full authority to make that call." The next morning, Dana did just that. Isaac arrived to find a new face behind the parts counter, a temp named Roman who had been placed by a staffing agency. Within 10 minutes of opening, Dana had already pulled him aside. "You logged the wrong alternator code on that last order," she said. Roman shrugged. "Close enough." No, it's not, Dana replied. You sent a customer home with a part they didn't need. That mistake cost us 3 hours of labor and a return. Roman laughed under his breath. Relax. It's just a car part. Dana didn't blink. Clock out, you're done, he stared at her. You serious? Dead serious. We don't relax about mistakes that cost people time and money. He left without another word. Isaac approached her afterward. You sure that wasn't too fast? I'm not losing another week to someone who doesn't care, he nodded. Fair. By the end of the week, the dealership felt different, not fixed, not perfect, but awake. The new hires arrived and were paired with mentors Tucker and Selena stepped up without hesitation. Cynthia began reorganizing the front desk files, and Dana introduced weekly performance reviews for every bay. Isaac didn't retreat to an office. He stayed present checking invoices, listening to lunchroom chatter, walking the lot twice a day. He no longer needed disguises or fake name tags. On Friday afternoon, a delivery van pulled in carrying the new hydraulic lift parts they'd been waiting on. Selena waved the driver into position and began unloading. Isaac stood nearby, arms crossed, watching her work. Still think you're just a runner? He asked. She didn't look up. Not anymore. He smiled, then turned to see Leo running a systems check on a vehicle while wearing a proper brace and using one of the new rolling stools Dana had ordered. Across the lot, Tucker was explaining a service estimate to an elderly customer, pointing to each number on the printout, patient and clear. The woman nodded, smiled, and shook his hand before walking inside. When Isaac stepped back into the garage, Dana was reviewing the whiteboard, marking off completed jobs with a red grease pencil. You finally look like you believe in this place, he said. She glanced at him. It's starting to deserve it. Isaac took a breath. Let's not let it slide back. It won't, not on my watch. He nodded once, then turned back toward the front office. For the first time in a long while, he didn't feel like he had to catch something falling apart. There were still long hours ahead, still habits to unlearn and trust to rebuild. But the rot was gone. The silence had broken, and the people who remained were the ones who chose to stay and fight for better. It was no longer just his company. It was theirs.